Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a quick look here at Gala. Recommend you stick all the way through this because there is some really important support levels we need to address, including a support range, which we're going to go ahead and put on the charts here as well. So if you are new to the channel, just keep in mind I'm not a financial advisor, right? I just love to teach people to trade. I hope you can learn something here today, and obviously if you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a website link below. Also, if you could please help us grow our Twitter community too, we really greatly appreciate that. Looks a little bit like this here. We actually have Twitter giveaways for our Signals community and university, of course, with our Crypto Cash premium account. But furthermore, we also got tons and tons of different options for technical, fundamental data. We've been covering a lot of the CPI stuff here today that caused a really unique ripple in the market. I don't know if you caught this at all, but CPI data was really nice at 4.9%, shot the price up. 5 hours later, the Fed Silk Road dumped a majority of their Bitcoin to test that 26,800 mark. So really interesting stuff in the market. Anyways, we're not here for that. Feel free to watch my Bitcoin videos daily if you're interested. But what we want to look at here is Gala and kind of some important stuff. We want to kind of draw some Fibonacci retracement levels, which I just did. We'll go ahead and get a trend line out here too. In fact, we can tighten this up a little bit, kind of just see that a little bit better. Because you can see this obvious descending trend where we've had lower highs consistently for the last few weeks. And we're at this point right now where we have really awesome stuff. And what I want to mention here, the reason why it's awesome is because we have extremely high amount of volume and the price action is higher. That's a good sign. Because previously, if you look, you can see higher volume in some days here where the price is above, or the volume is above that moving average, but the price is actually down lower. Okay, that implies there's tons of selling pressure. Now we have tons of buying pressure and the selling pressure is a lot less, and it does allow for us to understand that we're probably likely at the bottom, okay? Because again, we've seen situations like this where we have a strong spike in volume on day number one, and then it goes practically parabolic the days after. I'm not saying it's going to necessarily do that, but it's kind of primed and ready for it, based on the simple fact that we have this descending trend here, and it did the exact same thing last time. It took a few days to break out, of course, so we probably need to see this price go sideways for a little bit longer, but there's a good chance we'll see a breakout, and it could move higher here from there. So that being said, we got a nice little support level here, down the range of, drumroll please, 2.3 to 2.7, okay? Now, adding to your position right now wouldn't be a terrible idea because we do like we're doing pretty well, but let's double check and verify a few things. First of all, money flow index is coming back up, so same with the RSI. That's very standard when you have a massive sell-off like we've seen. You saw this plateau of volume here and now an increase. Okay, so that increase here today is very, very positive. That does allow for us to potentially have a convergence on the MACD here in the relative near future. That being said, we haven't converged yet, but we're diverging less, okay? That's an important thing. So that really tells us that we're almost at the bottom or likely at the bottom. To me, it feels like the bottom because being at 30 on the RSI for so long here on the daily, that's a pretty unusual thing. It's done it before, but it did it before it broke out massively. Granted, there was a fundamental catalyst here, so do not expect the price to shoot to the moon, but it can and will and does have potential for that, okay? So just keep that in mind. A lot of these things here are very positive. Keep in mind, there's also disadvantageous news here as well. We're below all three moving averages. We got a lot of resistance there. We've also got a Fibonacci retracement here at basically 3.25. I think that is 3.25 cents. That causes an initial rejection. Okay, so keep in mind, we're not out of the woods yet, but there's some positive stuff on the horizon. Looking at the 4 hour, we can see we're up over the 20-day SMA, testing the 50, and the 200's left untouched. So that's pretty standard for a push like this. Trying to get too ahead of ourselves, but we are above 50 on the RSI. That's a positive sign. We haven't been above 50 on the RSI legitimately, at least for an extended amount of time, since April 19th. That's about 3 weeks. So this has been a 3-week downtrend, establishing lower highs and lower lows consistently. Is our first higher low that we can experience, or at least should experience. And what I mean by should is the fact that it technically hasn't dipped down yet, but we should be in place for another a low here, okay? You can also kind of see here that there was a definitive support level there that broke previously. That could be a new resistance, or correction, I'm sorry. Previous support turned into another support because it was initially in a resistance. Okay, we blasted straight through that. A lot of these candle wicks here too, you can see this one right here, this ugly doji candle, that's a lot to do with today's manipulation from Bitcoin, okay? So again, a lot of little things kind of factoring in, but the fact that we're averaging ourselves out at that 3.15 mark is a very, very good sign. So Gala looks decent there on the 4 hour. Let's wrap this up here. We can see that MFI, money flow index, is increasing. Obviously, that reflects the last 14 candlesticks, and that's important to see that. We've also got a MACD convergence that's still converging. So a lot of folks ask me, hey, why do I want to buy the top right now? Shouldn't I wait for it to pull back? Well, that's a good strategy for sure. Definitely do that. You could also consider adding to your position now, and if the price continues higher, you got some skin in the game, right? You don't have to, I wouldn't necessarily put your whole bag in here, but I can tell you that this is a fairly beneficial price point for Gala at this point compared to what it has potential for. Okay, so overall the 4-hour looks slightly more bullish than bearish as far as potential being above that relative strength index. Yes, we got some moving averages we got to work into, but there's a great chance we could continue that further. Okay, now take a look at this here. You can see this very large candlestick, this red one here, for volume. This is that 1-hour manipulation from Bitcoin where the price action recovered quickly. We also had a second manipulation for Bitcoin. Let me make sure that we are right here. You can see right there, the second one pushed the price action down lower, whereas Gala is holding strong and was barely impacted by that. That's a good sign. Okay, so again, a lot of things you can do to kind of understand how strong a coin is to essentially be able to look at what it's done in conjunction with Bitcoin. If it's selling off with Bitcoin the same exact way, it's probably not going to be able to sustain. This one being overextended to the downside, it makes sense it wants to recover and continue higher. And that second dip, if you will, from Bitcoin, it was almost unaffected. Okay, it tells me there's some strength and some independence from Bitcoin, which is a very, very important thing to recognize for altcoins if you want to be able to identify some winners and things that are going to be able to kind of emerge on their own. Okay, so that's a really cool sign there. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek here at TD sequential and see. We are up to a 9 right now, so keep this in mind. We're a bit on the overextended side, but we're consolidating at that previous support/resistance level. So that's a good sign to me. If we can hold this price point, we will and should likely see another breakout because we do have an ascending type of pattern here. Okay, this is a bull pennant pattern, and it's definitely one of those things that can break out pretty strong to the upside. Okay, so that's really, really cool. So there's some positive stuff in the hourly. Keep in mind the smaller the time frame, the less reliable the patterns can be. But here's the thing that is reliable. We're above the cloud. We're free and clear of the price action on the lagging span. And of course, we've got conversion line above baseline. So there's 3 out of 3 signs here telling us that a long from Gala would not only be viable, but potentially sustainable. Okay. In other words, there's nothing here telling us to short into this. Because look at this. For the last 3 weeks straight, we've been below the cloud the entire time. We're finally above, and we're overextended to the downside. Is that a recipe for an increase here? Most likely. The only thing that would cause this to continue to drop lower is if Bitcoin were to dump in the immediate future. Then we could see a lower price point from Gala. So again, just keep in mind, if we lose 27,000, for example, which we see a lot of support at this level here so far based on the volume profile, then we're going to be in a position where Gala will drop, okay, if we lose that support on Bitcoin. But if we don't lose that support, Gala has a great chance here of maintaining its current price point and continuing higher. I've got some good thinking here on this one. I think we're going to consider potentially even a position with Gala here in the near future. It's looking very prime, and I would just say wait a little bit longer perhaps for confirmation above this level. But if we can break above this descending trend and establish those higher highs, specifically more so higher lows first, that's a really big deal. Okay, so I think we're looking pretty good here for Gala. Thank you so much for watching. We'll look forward to working with you. Have a great rest of your day. Once again, if you could, please help us grow our Twitter community. Greatly appreciate that. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.